Hi, today we're going to look at old 1980s toys through toy catalog pages. This is a smattering of different kinds of toys from different times in the 1980s, mostly in the boys sector. So we'll start off with Willow, which is a weird toy line based on the movie. When the movie came out, I was anticipating that there'd be a toy line like there was for Star Wars and stuff. This was a Lucasfilm property, and when the toys finally did come out and they had a nice advertisement for it on TV, every child, I don't care who you were disappointed by the fact that they looked like just basically figurines that did not articulate. None of these characters had moving parts or anything to them. They were just posed and they're on a platform, and that was it. There's a lot of them, but they weren't actually action figures. There are some vehicles and things you see. There's a catapult and all that stuff. There's some creatures with some moving parts, but for the most part, the characters are just frozen. Um, and the characters cost something like $10 each or something like that, and it's not worth it because they're not action figures. So yeah, this line came and went. You can still find some of these things in toy shows. I usually do not see the action figures, or they weren't action figures, in action figures, I guess. But I do see a lot of the creatures and stuff. And next up, we have Cops. Cops was an interesting line. It was from Hasbro. They're trying to rekindle that G.I. Joe magic. This time with slightly taller figures. I think they were 5-inch instead of 3 3/4 inch. It's basically future Cops, and they had a whole TV series from DIC Animation. It was pretty cool. Bulletproof Vest was the leader of the good guys. Bad guys had a lot of interesting crooks. There's one guy that had a machine gun come out of his chest and everything. The vehicles were pretty cool because they looked like a futuristic version of law enforcement. The police car you see in number 29 is a big armored tank thing. Number 39 has a cool looking helicopter. It's pretty neat. The figures themselves look to be about $13 each. That would probably be upwards of $25 today. Um, Pretty expensive stuff. They came with caps, so they operated like cap guns. You could put a roll of caps in them, and they'd shoot off their gun and would make a cap gun sound. Pretty cool stuff. That was their gimmick. Pretty neat. I think it lasted maybe 2 series until it went away. It wasn't very popular. Next up is M.A.S.K. M.A.S.K lasted, a couple series, 2 or 3 series. Um, there was a 65 episode TV series followed by a 10 episode second season, which has almost nothing to do with the first one. It's all just racing. But before that, it was about this. What was M.A.S.K? What did M.A.S.K stand for? Is like mobile, something strike command or something. Mobile assault strike command, I think it was called. Basically, vehicles that turned into things, turned into other kinds of vehicles. It's like regular looking vehicles that then, like, donned Gatling guns and stuff like that as their big play feature. A lot of these vehicles you're seeing here are later series vehicles and are not as popular or recognizable as the earlier stuff. You see at number 44, that's a big price point, high price point vehicle, flashy Skybolt. Uh, it's almost unrecognizable to me. Mostly what I recognize from M.A.S.K is like the helicopter and the big, the Rhino, I think they called the truck. You see it in the logo. Up next is later series G.I. Joe. They're in space. There's Python Patrol. There's a weird looking version of the Wolverine piloted by, it looks like, Sergeant Slaughter. The vehicles for G.I. Joe are pretty cool. If you got one vehicle, you could play with that all day. It had all sorts of different cool, fun features to it. You could fit all sorts of figures in it. Pretty neat stuff. See all these different sprawling bases that probably turn into vehicles that can then, roll around and stuff. Up next is Voltron. Voltron had two kinds of way to play. One was the 3¾ inch line, where you can, well, I think they're actually 4-inch figures, but you could fit guys in vehicles, and they had a play set, as you see here, the palace here. To the left is the Voltron version that you could fit the figures in. Often in catalog photography, they would not know how to pose the characters, so here they seem to think that the lion head is the head of Voltron, and if they just opened up that mouth, they'd see there's a face underneath. See at number 4, there's villains, and number 5 is the heroes. Number 6 is a bad guy tank. Number 7 is not really a remote control, because I think there's a wire that connects to this to control Voltron here. He still has to stand on bases that move around, the blue and yellow base at his feet there. To the bottom are the Matchbox Voltron lions, etc., and the robots that were basically die-cast metal. It was pretty awesome. Some of the pieces were plastic, and famously, plastic pieces would break off of the metal pieces because they're not as tough. But these, Voltron was pretty awesome, pretty colorful character. The toys were sizable and substantial, pretty cool. To the right is the vehicle Voltron. And here you see prices. So number 1, $34.99 is the Voltron that it's the plastic Voltron you can fit the figures into. And it's listed as $34.99 in 1985. So that's probably about $60 to $70 today. Or maybe closer to $70 to $80. You see the deluxe Lion set and deluxe Warrior, etc. They're about $67. So that would be about maybe $130 in today's money. So anyone who bought those for their kids dearly loved their children, because they're expensive back in the 80s. All right, let's move on to Teddy Ruxpin. Teddy Ruxpin was created by Ken Forsey. And Ken Forsey dreamed up Teddy Ruxpin way back in the 1950s. He was working at Disney World, was Disneyland, sorry. Creating animatronics there, and wanted to create this. And like, the story of Ken Forsey and Teddy Ruxpin is very interesting. Lots of stops and starts. At one point, he wanted to market a whole bunch of Winnie the Pooh toys in this technology that they would talk and stuff. So Teddy Ruxpin's thing was that you put a tape in him, and it's a teddy bear that starts talking to you in animatronic, like, face and stuff. The mouth would move, the eyes would blink. It's pretty awesome. And it was revolutionary for the 1980s. And then, of course, after that, they made tons and tons of rip-offs of this. There's footage out there somewhere of a Charlie Brown that does this, and it looks creepy as hell because they made him too 3D. He has too much of a human face to him. But yeah, Teddy Ruxpin was huge. He had his own cartoon series. He had a live-action special. And here you see Grubby, which is his friend. He does the same thing. He can talk and stuff when you put a tape inside him. And here you see smaller plush Teddy Ruxpins just selling the character. And here you see puppets of all the different characters from the cartoon, etc. Number 10 is the bad guy. I can't remember his name. And different bad guy minions, etc. Yeah, Teddy Ruxpin was pretty neat. I'm surprised they haven't brought him back. I know that the toy has come back in different forms. But the character and the lore was pretty fun. Next up is Sectaurs. Sectaurs is a pretty interesting line. I love it. Didn't last very long. It came from Coleco. They also made the Rambo figures, and they're the same tall format with the ball joints, etc. Of course, Sectaurs utilized puppetry as well. So Sectaurs was basically the lore was there was a planet that experimented too far and created upheaval on their planet. They were basically humans, but now they're human insect hybrids, and they're telebonded with giant insects like the one you see here. That thing, I think it's called Dragonflyer. That big creature that Prince Dargon is riding there. Operated off of batteries to operate it and move its wings, which were super duper fragile. They would break all the time. And the legs of the big insect there is basically a hand puppet. You put your hand in black nylon, and that black nylon is the legs. Pretty neat stuff, pretty revolutionary for its time. And all it was is just a puppet. You see smaller telebonded insects like Bitar, etc. I had this Prince Dargon at letter G here. That insect would latch onto his back like a backpack and help him fly around. It was pretty cool. The hive was humongous. It was Sectaur's answer to Castle Grayskull. And this thing was the size of a small child. And it came with 2 puppets. It came with a whole bunch of stuff. It's pretty awesome stuff. The hive in the lore of Sectaurs tried to explain what the actual power was in the actual base there, because Castle Grayskull was always vague on that. Like, what's Skeletor after? Here in the comics, at least in the Marvel comics, they explained that there's a technology that the ancients made that can control everything on the planet. And it's too much power for anybody. So when someone tries to wield it, they create cataclysms everywhere. And really, there's no way to destroy this thing. You just have to hide it. And of course, if it falls in enemy hands, it'll mean doom for everybody. So that was pretty compelling stuff. And I think I'll end it there for now. Actually, let's take a look at prices. The Hive is 47, so it's about $50. It's about a little over $100 today. The characters, I mean, Mantor, Prince Dargon with Parafly, so all the ones that come with smaller insects are $8. That's pretty good value. It's about maybe $20 in today's money. This is 1985. The ones that come with giant, like big super insects with battery operated wings and stuff are $23 back then. So it's probably $45 today. That would be just, you would buy one as a parent, and then if your kid liked it, you'd probably buy one of the lower price point stuff to accompany it. That hive would be maybe a Christmas present if you really loved your kid. Okay, that's going to do it for today, and I have a lot more pages to show off in the future. So until next time, take care.